The Brian McKnight situation has taken a very disturbing turn. Even reviewing all the material I reviewed for this video made me physically sick and very uncomfortable. Brian McKnight's older son, Brian McKnight Jr., and his ex-wife sat down with his nemesis, Mark Lamont Hill, after Mark Lamont Hill threatened to expose Brian McKnight when he responded back to Brian McKnight doing an interview with Anton Daniels, where Brian McKnight called out Mark Lamont Hill for not really understanding the facts of his family dynamics, but yet disparaging him and calling him an a-hole on the Joe Budden podcast. Mark Lamont Hill responded back very angrily, letting Brian McKnight know that he's going to reveal information that his family told him personally that he doesn't want out. Mark Lamont Hill made good on that threat by bringing on Brian McKnight Jr. and the ex-wife to speak on Brian McKnight. Now, they went back and forth, ironed out certain details. Much of it I don't care for, but the one thing that really tugged at my heart was a situation involving Brian McKnight's youngest son, Nico, and his cancer diagnosis. Nico McKnight was diagnosed with colon cancer 2 years ago. He recently passed away from it about a month and a half ago. Now, sad enough, Nico and Brian never fixed their issues. So Brian McKnight's son passed away with them not being on speaking terms. If that's where this ends, that would be bad enough, but it gets worse. You see, the ex-wife and his junior would accuse Brian McKnight of conducting himself and doing certain things in the time leading up to Nico's death that makes Brian McKnight nothing short of evil if this is true.
I want to first just acknowledge the weight of the loss of Nico. For all of you, not just you two, but Brian as well. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I've lost siblings, but never a child. I can't even imagine the pain of what you all have been going through as a family. When I heard Brian Sr. talk about the timeline, there were some things that I thought were worth at least discussing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. First thing is he got the information late.
It's not true.
You tell me your version of what happened, or you. I know this is painful, and so I don't want to.
You know, I love you, Johnny boy. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing, man. And again, this is the last time I'm speaking about this, about any of this with anybody. My dad knew from the jump. I got the DMs. You feel me?
When you say the jump, he found out as soon as y'all found out.
I found out, he knew.
Okay.
I begged my dad to talk to my brother for 2 years. He got diagnosed 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? The lies, man.
That's a direct rebuttal to the claim that Brian McKnight made during his interview. So Brian McKnight would claim that the family found out about the cancer diagnosis, and they didn't tell him until 4 months went by. They caught it early, and if they would have told him at the time that he was diagnosed, he would have been able to step in to help. Now, Brian McKnight don't necessarily address like the speaking terms or him wanting to really build or connect with his child. He really just addressed the fact that he was willing to step in and utilize his money to pay for cancer treatment. But as the family would claim that that's a lie, they will say that they have receipts, they have messages, they have text messages, they have Instagram DMs letting Brian McKnight know the day they found out that Nico had cancer.
You know, this is a cycle that continues to happen, and I can't speak for everybody else's situation. The saddest part of this is that the younger one ended up dying.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How do you feel about that? Because a lot of people make a big deal about, if we just being transparent about, posts
Right.
that you may make on the anniversary of the passing.
Yeah. God's timing. That was the day that the judge told us what the amount was.
Oh, okay. So it didn't have anything to do with...
Had nothing to do with that. But I will say this. I believe it's God's timing because Anton, he did not have to die.
Why do you say that?
When we talked, and we did talk to him, we talked to his wife. We got to go back. So earlier that year, that May, He's on the Shade Room. He's saying things like, oh, now remember, they've lied on me, but they continue to double down and triple down on the rhetoric. If my dad needed this, I wouldn't do this for him. He's dead to me, blah, blah, blah. Now we come to find out that 3 days after that's when he got diagnosed. They waited because he didn't have insurance. They waited 4 months to let us know.
After they found out that he was actually...
They waited 4 months.
I don't know the intent, but what was very disturbing about that clip, and it gave me chills, was when Brian McKnight says, he went online and says, my father is dead to me. If he needed this, I wouldn't do it for him. He's dead to me. But then 3 days later, he got diagnosed with cancer. Like, what are you saying? Like, that was karma for him saying bad things about you? You pointing that out to me is just petty. It's petty. But the most disturbing part about this is Brian McKnight would then accuse the Brian McKnight Jr. and the mom of wanting Nico to die. He would say that the family wanted Nico to die because Nico would be a martyr and it would make people turn against Brian McKnight even more. To me, that's just sick, bruh. Like that's just absurdity from my perspective, bruh. Even if you, again, there's no way for us to confirm who's telling the truth here. But even if we say, they didn't notify you, they did some things wrong, to say they wanted their brother to die so they could turn the public against you is crazy.
So he could have...
According to all statistics, 91% of colon cancer diagnosis that are caught early are curable.
Right.
From the time he got diagnosed to the time we found out, because they didn't tell us. I had to find out from somebody else.
Right.
Then I heard from them.
So were you the last?
We were the last to find out.
Wow.
So once we found out, we sprung into action. What can we do? Can we get the scans? Can we do this? Can we do that? Anton, by this time, it was stage 4.
That's crazy.
Stage 4. So you've lied on me.
Right.
You don't come to me. In my opinion, they martyred him so that they could keep this going.
That's deep. That's really deep.
That's what I truly believe.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the family interview. Now, the family will step in. The family will say, listen, all the younger son wanted, all Nico really wanted was to speak to his father. Now, Brian McKnight spoke at lengths during the Anton Daniels interview about how he offered this resource and that resource. He offered this payment and that payment. And Nico and the family, they turned it down because, they wanted him to die. The family would say, all Nico really wanted, he ain't want his money. He didn't want none of that. He just wanted his father and him to be on speaking terms. And he just wanted his father to tell him he loved him. But Brian McKnight couldn't even do that.
The unnecessary lies. Even if let's go about it a different way. Even if that's true, even if you got the information late, even if everything he said about us was true, you had the power, right, to step in, take control.
He said he tried, and that his wife intervened as well and said, "Hey, you can not even say it's from us. Like, we just want to help."
Why would I beg my dad to help? Not even to help. I didn't beg my dad to help. I begged him to talk to my brother. Why would I do that if we weren't willing to make that connection, if we weren't willing to allow that to be the case, if it wasn't up until it was absolutely apparent that the type of help that would have come, like my mom said, would have come with certain stipulations. He would have had to do this. He would have had to do that.
No, is that what he did?
We would have been able to be involved. You know what I mean? The attempt to turn my brother against us in his last days is the most outrageous thing. And that's where you asked me earlier when I didn't finish, that's where it ended for me with my dad.
Absolutely.
I will leave with you the messages that we sent. Leilani sent a message that said to his wife, you don't even have to tell him that it's us. We just want to help whatever we can do. And then they're like, well, he would have had to stay at your house and they wouldn't have been able to see him. I'm like, we never made that a stipulation. The facility that we found, that the only one that would allow him to come was closer to our house.
Right.
That's why we have an entire apartment downstairs with its own entrance. His wife wouldn't have to work. You can take care of him all day. Leilani wanted to take care of him. And his mother sent that message after we sent the message to him.
That's insane.
But it's like, he had ample opportunity to show up and be my brother's dad. Forget your help. He did 5 shows in California when my brother laid in the hospital.
Yes.
What do we have to do with you coming and paying respects to your son on his deathbed?
When you asked him to, did you ask him to do it?
I get no responses.
Okay.
I'm texting and DMing to deaf ears, as far as we know. But there was never a time through any of this until all of this started happening. And even still, all I asked him to do was talk to my brother.
Right.
Talk to him. He's begging for you, dog. He's begging for you to talk to him. And I'm gonna take this one so my mom doesn't have to, because we discussed this whole thing. As far as even that, him airing out my mother's voicemail and all of that in the midst of all this too, without any context of how we got there. It's just like, come on, bruv. One of the darkest and coldest and most disheartening memories of my life is the day my brother calls me sobbing with all that he's going through, looking death in the eye, to tell me I'm right about telling him not to call my father. Because I knew what was going to happen. Because I knew where my dad was. I told him, man, dad is gone. Dad's gone. All my brother wanted and needed, asked for, was my father to tell him that he loves him. And my brother responds to him, my father responds to my brother that I can't arbitrarily say that I love you.
Right.
But this is the man that wanted to help him. This is the man that was so willing to be there, that was so willing to help my brother stay alive.
I'm sorry. I have to ask that again because that.
No, you heard it right. I can't arbitrarily tell you I love you. My brother's dying of cancer. This was the first time he was terminal.
First time.
I heard that statement made in passing at some point. You know, I think I heard it fleetingly, probably scrolling through Instagram at some point. But to hear the full story, man, listen, man. Brian McKnight did the interview. And during the interview, he talked about how, you know, the kids were spoiled. They made certain mistakes. They didn't want to get their stuff together. They were leeching off of him. All of that, I hear you. I hear you 100%. But we don't care about none of that, bro. We don't care about none of that, bro. If I have to look you in your eyes and your soul and determine whether or not you're a good person, how you treated your son on his deathbed, to me, is the most important indicator. Now, I don't think neither side denied the fact that Brian McKnight offered some help, right? The son says the help came with some type of stipulations. Brian McKnight is saying the help did not come with stipulations. So Brian McKnight offered help. Cool. But if you're Nico, would you have even felt comfortable taking the help from a man who tells you, I can't arbitrarily say I love you? I can't look in your eyes right now and tell you that I love you. That shows me a man who is self-absorbed. He's a narcissist. He puts himself above it all. Because he's still worried about his own feelings. He's still worried about how he feels. He's still worried about past transgressions. Now, if that's your son, fam, like, I don't care what your son do to you. I find it hard to believe that a father can raise a son, have a disagreement for about two or 3 years, that son be on his deathbed, and you say, man, I can't arbitrarily say I love you right now, man, based on what happened in the past. What? Now, I can understand if Nico did something horrific, like, I don't know, bruh, touching his younger kids, murdering his mom, things of that sort. But essentially coming on social media and critiquing you and calling you out, that's all it took for you to say you don't know if you love your son while he's on his deathbed? Man, Y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this, man? Do y'all believe that Brian McKnight... I can't even, bro, this is deep, man. Just let me know your general thoughts, okay? And if you're still watching this video, click on this video right here to find out how I found out my life is in danger. Apparently, the 52 Hoover Crip general is making threats upon my life. Click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.